5 of the most viral perfumes for women ranked. Now, all 5 perfumes on this list are perfumes that have been spoken about ad nauseum. It seems like the women are really a huge fan of some of these. I will admit, some of these are a bit more on the polarizing side of things. I know some of these have been around for such a long time that effectively they become a victim of their own success. And of course, some of them are still being spoken about in every breath. People love them. And it's not just the women who love them. The gentlemen love them as well. They love smelling them on their women, or just generally speaking, these are really fashionable or fashion forward scents. Most of these have been released within the past decade, so they're fairly modern and contemporary, as it were. And it seems like all of these have a super high mass appeal. And I say that because I feel like you can't go wrong wearing any of these fragrances. And of course, if you're interested in sampling any of these fragrances, you can do so at scentsplit.com. I'm going to drop all of the links down below. I've been using ScentSplit since basically 2013, 2014, something like that. You can purchase decants, samples, you can even purchase full bottles there. So if my description of any of these fragrances sounds appealing to you, or sounds like something that you may be interested in picking up, at least get yourself a 5 ml decant, 10 ml decant, whatever you prefer. Try it on your skin, see how it works with your skin chemistry, if it resonates with your personal tastes. And then of course, if you like it enough, go ahead and commit to the purchase of a full-size bottle. But I don't think you should jump right into it and pay $200, $300, $400 on a full-size bottle of something that you've never sampled before, because then you run the risk of not liking it. And then I don't want you coming back to crucify me if that's the case. I want you to really enjoy the fragrance that you're sampling and subsequently, hopefully, purchasing. Let's go ahead and start things off with the first one, which is Very Good Girl Elixir by Carolina Herrera. Now, I personally love the original Very Good Girl in this one. Oh my goodness. This one takes the rose, that floral tonality, which is quite different from the original. The original has tuberose. So this one has more of a rosy personality, and it adds this sort of a cherry and almond vibe in the beginning. So it's interesting because this one, aesthetically and olfactorily, is similar to Black Opium Over Red by Yves Saint Laurent. And that one is a huge fragrance. Of course, the original Black Opium is a big hitter and it's a very bestseller. And of course, Over Red has the cherry and the almond, and it kind of takes things in a bit of that contemporary tart sweet direction. And of course, cherry has become such a predominant note in perfumes, especially since the release of Lost Cherry. And then even within the Tom Ford brand, they released Electric Cherry and then of course Cherry Smoke. So it seems like cherry is one of those really popular ingredients as of late. I may very well do another video talking about just cherry fragrances, because it's something that is happening with such frequency. They seem to be quite ubiquitous nowadays. Everywhere you look, there's a cherry fragrance, but I personally love this one. And if I were to personally rank it, I would say I think it's phenomenal. I really do love this one, especially if you're looking for a bit more of a outgoing, flirtatious, night out type of a perfume. I think Very Good Girl Elixir is phenomenal. The one thing that I love the most about this is that it actually deviates from that Delina by Parfums de Marly DNA. For those of you who don't know, Very Good Girl, right, is a flanker of the original Good Girl. And Very Good Girl was made by Quentin Biche, who is the perfumer that also worked on Delina by Parfums de Marly. So of course, with that fragrance, you do get the rose, but you also have the lychee and the peony and the vanilla. So it 100% goes in that Delina DNA, which is a good thing, I think, for some women, because maybe some women don't have hundreds of dollars to spend on Delina. So they want a designer alternative to that maybe they don't necessarily want to dupe. You know what I mean? So they want a designer alternative. They want to be able to say, I'm wearing a Gucci or a Fendi or a Dior or a Prada, or in this case, a Carolina Herrera. And so I think the original Very Good Girl is good for that reason, but Very Good Girl is phenomenal because this one takes the cherry, the almond, the rose, and it's a beautiful fragrance. And I also particularly enjoy the fact that this one doesn't smell like Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. I think so many perfumes are doing it nowadays. And to be quite frank with you, it's getting a bit played out. Let's move on a little bit and talk about one that I've already referenced by name a handful of times. And this one is the original Delina. If I can get this bottle open. And of course, Quentin Biche, fragrance. And yeah, of course, this one has the rose, the lychee, the peony, the vanilla from Madagascar. This is the brands. And actually, I grabbed Delina Exclusive, but this applies to both of them. This one is just as viral as the original. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of women that opt for this flanker because they're looking for something that is a bit on the sweeter side of thing. And that is going to be the predominant difference between the original Delina and the exclusive version. So the exclusive version takes it in a bit of a sweeter direction. The Madagascan vanilla is amplified. The original has more of an emphasis on the lychee, which kind of creates this exotic, tart, fruity vibe. And of course, ever since the perfume came out, I mean, I remember sampling it for the first time many years ago and just falling in love with it. But I will kind of align my opinions with those who say that it's getting to be a little played out nowadays. I completely understand where you're coming from. And to be honest with you, I went to a department store yesterday that had a lot of dupes and a lot of designer alternatives, and they just had so many fragrances in their store, and there were so many Delina dupes. And so nowadays you smell a fragrance like this one, or Baccarat, or Santal 33, or Aventus for Her, or any of these like really super viral perfumes, and you're smelling it on somebody and you wonder to yourself, are you wearing the original or are you wearing one of the 100 dupes that are on the market, you know? So this is just one of those fragrances that I would recommend because it smells, in my opinion, fantastic, but it's hard to recommend it for somebody who's in search of novelty, who wants something different, something unique, something that will make them stand out. Let's go ahead and grab a bottle that is thematically similar, I would say, as far as the color palette is concerned, to Delina. This is the original Yara by Lattafa. So what are you going to get with this one? Well, there's an orchid note, there's a gourmand accord, and if you know Lattafa, you know they make some amazing fragrances. I love the original Teriyak, Teriyak Intense, Khamra, Khamra Kawa, Her Confession, His Confession, The Kingdom for Her and for him, Rave Now for her, which is their take on Burberry Her, and then there's also Angam, which is their take on Burberry Goddess. I love Lattafa, right? I have purchased several dozen Lattafa fragrances throughout the years, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon. Lately, I've also been wearing a lot of Mashrabia, which is one of their newer releases, which is their take on Kilian Smoking Hot. Well, here is an original release for the most part. It does have orchid, it does have vanilla, it does have a fruity accord, it does have a gourmand accord, but this is a very light, fruity, sensual perfume, a bit flirtatious, and in my opinion, it caters to a younger demographic. Now, there's also one that's a bit more youthful than this one, which is Yara Candy. That one is in the bright, sort of magenta colored bottle, and that one has more of a strawberry vibe. So I think that one kind of took a few hints from Burberry Her Elixir, which also has a bit of that like saccharine strawberry vibe to it. This one, on the other hand, is more floral leaning. Yes, you still get the fruits, you still get the gourmand accord, so I'm not saying it's a total reinvention of the original, and of course I'm referring to Candy. This one is just a beautiful, well-rounded perfume for women, albeit one that I would recommend for a younger demographic. I would dare say this one is more versatile than this one, which is Very Good Girl Elixir, the first one that I spoke about. However, I don't think it's as an iconic of a smell as Delina or Delina Exclusive. However, you are less likely to get pointed out for what you're wearing when you wear Lattafa Yara versus this one, despite that difference in price. And the only reason I say that is because there's been a million dupes of this one, and this one is kind of in a league of its own, if you will. I think there is another one that smells quite similar to it, which is called Aziza by Luniche, but this one, on the other hand, is a very unique fragrance. And I just really love what Lattafa did with this one. And of course, this collection is doing very well. And by collection, I mean the bottles that come in this presentation, which include Bourbon and Assad and Zanzibar, and you know there's been a bunch of others as well. Another incredibly viral perfume that I don't think we can miss is by Mind Games, and it's called Queening. Now, you've noticed that all of these are kind of catering more towards a female demographic. And I think that's all well and good. I think this one, in addition to another one on this list, is actually perfectly unisex. But, you know, there are just certain olfactive profiles that resonate with the ladies more than they will resonate with the gentlemen. What are you going to get from this one? This one has a lot of vanilla. A lot of vanilla. There's also cotton flower, which makes it quite interesting, but then you also have this starchy vibe created on account of the cotton flower. So you're going to get a bit of that cotton flower. It's billowy, it's fluffy, it has a really interesting olfactive texture, and it's actually the one on the list that I would dare say is the coziest. Yes, there's still this flirtatious element about it that I truly love on account of the vanilla. Once you put vanilla in anything and it has enough of that pronounced presence that it has the capability of amplifying the sweetness, inevitably it's going to get dubbed as a sensual, romantic, perhaps even flirtatious fragrance. Queening by Mind Games is phenomenal. I really, really enjoy this one. Of all the ones that are listed, if anybody were to ask me which one would I recommend, I would recommend this to somebody over Delina. And if you're not too budget conscious, I would recommend this over the Lattafa as well. Let's go ahead and conclude with the number one spot. And this has inevitably become one of the most viral perfumes for women. And for very good reason. I think it's a phenomenal fragrance. I think it has such an iconic DNA. Yes, this one has been duped as well. And I completely understand why so many brands are kind of offering their version or alternative to this one because, well, it's gained popularity initially because it is said to be Rihanna's signature scent. And I can tell you if that is indeed the case, which it is, then Rihanna smells phenomenal. I truly love this one. It's marshmallow, it's vanilla, it's orange blossom, it's floral, it's a little fruity, it's sensual. It has a bit of that unconventional sweetness to it while still having this layer of familiarity to the gourmand properties. And this one is none other than Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy. I don't even need to spray this one. I own this myself. I actually purchased this fragrance right when it came out. So I have the all black presentation. Of course, my surroundings are a bit different today because I'm actually filming this video from my friend Daniel's studio. So I have access to his entire collection. So I'll be curating some really interesting lists, including fragrances that I don't personally have in mind. But to conclude this video, I do want to say that if you've never tried Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian Paris, all of the links are going to be down below. It would serve in your best interest to at the very least get yourself a small sample of it. This stuff is incredible. If you're a woman wearing this fragrance, you are ready for a date. You are ready for a sensual evening. You are ready for a quote unquote between the sheets encounter. This is just such an amazing, illustrious, alluring, and mesmerizing perfume, 100% youthful, and it is such a provocative perfume. I think that's the best way to put it. Love Don't Be Shy by Kilian Paris. So let me know, what do you think? Have you tried any of these 5 incredibly viral perfumes that I just spoke about? Do you have a favorite among them? Or are there any viral perfumes that you would like me to focus on in the next video? I'm always interested to hear from you, so please drop your comment down below. I love the interaction. And of course, if you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really mean the world to me. So thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode.